We've seen it time and time again, the violence and discrimination against patriots. And we always say the same thing. Just imagine if the perpetrator had been a Trump supporter and the victim was on the left. Or just imagine if it were Muslims that Twitter was silencing, or Jews whose channels were being banned on YouTube. Or maybe Hispanics that were beaten in the street for their ideology. And then, smug in our righteous indignation, we carry on as if nothing had happened, until inevitably we're victimized again and again and again. Each time repeating the same ineffectual mantras of, what if? It's the same suicidal tendencies that have allowed us to be seduced into accepting mass migrations from the third world, chipping away at our Western societies that are being replaced by bastardized versions born of the decaying remnants of those our forefathers fought and died for, and the cultures that the invaders have brought with them. In response, we are often heard remarking in the same ineffectual fashion, what if I illegally moved to Mexico and waved the American flag while demanding in English that the Mexican people pay for my way? Or what if I moved to a Muslim country and demanded that they make accommodations for my Christian faith? What would happen to me? As if stating the obvious was an effective tactic. We all know what would happen. We all nod our heads in satisfaction, and then promptly allow the injustice to continue. It seems puzzling, and more than just a little bit frustrating. Are we so afraid of retaliation? Why do we accept the idea that we can't defend ourselves in the same manner that other groups do? Why do we bow down to the unspoken prohibition to band together and protect our interests, when groups like Antifa, La Raza, CARE, the ADL, or Black Lives Matter operate in the open and are even celebrated? Some people think it's fear, but they're only half right. You see, they think it's the fear of being called a racist, or the fear of being painted as a bigot. But that can no longer be. We all know we are way beyond that point. In this new normal, we are ordained racist at birth, a label so frequently applied that it has become synonymous or even a code word applied to us by our enemies. We have become numb to the discrimination. It can't possibly be the source of this fear. A fear so great that it's driving us to suicide. No. But it is a fear. A paralyzing fear. In our DNA is the knowledge, a knowledge that underneath all those centuries of civilization, enlightenment, and invention, in the darker corners of that creative mind that gave the world the light bulb, the automobile, and the internet, lies a cunning, precise kind of savagery that, when unleashed, it devastates and scars the earth. Fire and fury. You see, it's not the fear of our enemies that inspires this meekness, but rather the fear of what we're capable of doing to them. A fear that originated as a cautious, perhaps even honorable restraint of our unholy wrath. A discipline that has devolved into a smug, self-satisfying, foolhardy kind of empathy. A sympathetic condescension that is so closely related to hubris that it reaps the same tragic results. For just as hubris strikes down those who overestimate themselves, this cowardly sanctimony punishes those that underestimate their enemies. And it is cowardice. There is no honor in losing. It's time to be honest with ourselves and own the failure to preserve our nations and our cultures. Because just like any degenerate addict, a growing percentage of our ranks, I might add, you can't address the problem until you admit the problem exists and take responsibility for it. Where were you when the enemy became so confident that it moved from the shadows and into plain sight, slowly at first, preying on our compassion and our vanity, spreading like a cancer, pushing us closer and closer to the edge of the cliff, openly ridiculing our values, our heritage, and our God. Where were you when they hijacked education? A system focused on poisoning our legacy and erasing our history. Did you prevent the monolithic evangelists of Marxism, or were you so eager to ensure their survival you took on decades of debt so that they could flourish? How many times have you funded their propaganda? How many of their most effective influencers have you made rich? Purchasing tickets to bread circus distractions from the reality that they dangled in front of you to pacify you like an infant. The enemy is no longer at the gates. They live among us and have subverted our institutions at the highest levels. There is no help coming. There are no reinforcements. It is up to us to win this battle and to learn from our enemies. They would do and have done whatever it takes to win. Don't hand them this victory. Stop the pathetic whimpering that leads to extinction. It's time to stop acting like the schoolyard weakling that too late imagines all the things they could have done or could have said after a humiliating defeat. It's time to wake up and acknowledge what we all know deep down inside that portion of our souls that lies sleeping beneath the warm blanket of civilization. And let our enemies know we aren't just willing to fight, we're willing to win. For BlackPilled, I'm Devin Stack.